Welcome everybody. Glad to have those that have been with us this morning back for our 11:30 draw. We're now over in Canmore. We're all set up. This place is absolutely packed. There's not a seat to be saw, and in fact, they've added about 15 more seats out on the ice. That's great for the players. I think they enjoy having a lot of people watching, and it's great for Canmore because we are in a packed house, lots of energy, a lot of excitement. The matchup we're bringing you now is actually against the two top teams in this pool. We've got Skaslien, Nedregotten, who are the Norwegian national champions. They were also the Olympic bronze medalists. And they're playing against Walker and Walker, husband and wife team. Both accomplished curlers. Of course, Jeff Walker playing with the Stoughton team, not the Stoughton team, sorry, playing with the Gushu team, and Laura Walker skipping her own team. Well, we're going to bring you live in a moment. First, I want to thank our sponsors, Qualico, for the Qualico Mixed Doubles Classic. We also have our silver sponsors, the Malcolm Hotel, Visions Electronics, Bow Valley Credit Union, and of course, many local businesses that have stepped up to support this. It's been a great community effort, and the towns of both Banff and Canmore and a lot of local businesses helping us out to bring you this. We're coming to you live now in the third end. We're a little late getting going. We apologize, but we are here, and we're set for the rest of the day in Canmore, so the next few draws should be on time, and we'll get to them as soon as we get through this one. As we said, the game is Walker versus Skaslien Nedregotten. The Norwegians have the hammer in this end. Walker and Walker making a spectacular shot on their last in the second end to score their deuce after the Norwegians took one in the first. So we're joining it live. You can see the setup in the house right now. The Norwegians have one in the top. That is the one that Jeff Walker is going to remove. And they also have one in the back of the rings, and Walker and Walker have one over on the side. So we'll let this unfold for you as you can start to digest the scenery. But like we said, we're in Canmore now, a packed house, great crowds, and we look forward to bringing you this next draw live, Walker and Walker against Skaslien Nedregotten. All right, the rock's coming down. Jeff sweeping his own one, choosing not to have Laura sweep, choosing to have her stay down in the house and call line. And Jeff's got a good one. Didn't quite curl over as much as they'd hoped to get the roll. So looks like the Norwegians will now try and make a long roll off a hit. Of course, the important thing being to remove that shot stone, but hopefully running it over under cover to sit two red stones under cover. Let's watch and see how they do. Again, this is probably the first two teams we've seen who spent some time with the having people in the house holding the broom. A lot of times on these shots, especially on hits, you have the other teammate down sweeping for you while you throw, but not here, not with Walker and Walker, and so far not with Skaslien Nedregotten here in the third end. All right, rock's on the way. We've got Kristen in the house calling line. We've got Magnus here sweeping. He's on it now late, which is great. Looks like they like the line. Looking for about just under a half. Won't quite get it. I'll roll part way over, but certainly very accessible right up the middle for Walker and Walker. We are down to final stones, as we've seen throughout this event with all teams we've covered so far, and in fact seen. We have the ladies throwing the first and last stone, and the gentlemen throwing stones 2, 3, and 4 in the middle. That's right, there are only 5 rocks that are thrown. One throws 1 and 5, and the other throws 2, 3, and 4. In this case, we have Laura Walker throwing 1 and 5, and Jeff Walker throwing 2, 3, and 4. So Laura's nestling in here. It is her final stone of the end, and the team's final stone, looking to hit and roll on this and try and negate the rock in the back 12 by the Norwegians. Of course, the most important thing here is to make sure they get rid of this one stone, but hopefully get a bit of a roll and force a draw for one for the Norwegians. And Laura's underway. She's let go. Just keeping it clean. He's not on it yet. It's always a good sign when you're keeping it clean and you're ready to sweep, but you're not on. There it goes. He's going to try and hold this up. He's on. He's off. Certainly have the rock. Is it not enough? Is it going to outroll? Oh, it almost comes off their back, their blue, but no, it comes out of play. So that'll leave just a straight draw. Just need to get really into the full 12, and that'll give the Norwegians 2 more points. They are looking to be lining up a potential split on this front one. They do have some blue backing, so they can hit it with a little more weight, and then they have a bit of a long roll, but certainly not out of the question, and certainly not a bad call. Anytime you can generate more points, it's always a good thing, especially when you're playing against a team like Walker and Walker, a very, very competent team who have played very, very well together in mixed doubles, but also individually with their 4-person teams. So in this case, we've got Magnus down to sweep, so we're not sure what the final call is. They did seem to indicate they wanted to play the split. We'll see if that's the case. The good thing, too, if you miss the split, hopefully it should sit before the back of the house and still count there, too. But let's see what they end up throwing when they release. Right, Kristen is set in. Looks like she's ready to go. They definitely are coming down this right side. As I said, I think they are playing the split, but we'll know when she lets it go based on the line and speed. We have been getting 5.5 to 6 feet of curls, so lots of movement in these ice. Having to go out wide here, she is playing that split. And certainly is. I think they're just going for the draw, though. There's not enough weight, nor is there enough line for that to be a split. So it looks like they've just settled in on the draw. Looks like Magnus is going hard. He needs to get it into the full 12 to make this work. Looks like it's fine, though. He's easing up now, and looks like we will get a 2 on the board for the Norwegians, so they respond right back to Walker and Walker's 2 in the second end. We now have a 3-2 game. Norwegians leading after 3 ends. Welcome back. So as we said, 3-2 for the Norwegians heading into the 4th end, the last of the first half of the game. The Walker and Walker do retain, or will get the hammer, I should say. As we remember from mixed doubles, the team with the hammer places theirs with the back of the rock touching the back of the 4, and the team delivering first stones will put the rock out in front in a position decided by the committee this week. The committee decided to use position 2. That's a placement that is 4.5 feet in front of the house, and the rock is on the far end of that point. And we've been using that all week because we've had great curl here. And that curl has been brought to you by some wonderful ice makers. Jim Comfort, the ice maker here in Canmore, and Darren Moulding, who is joining Jim and adding a little expertise, but also supporting him with the volume of work they have to do in such a short time. And we will have Darren joining us here shortly. We'll get a few comments about the ice, if anything's changed from yesterday to today, but also some comments on the players, because as we know, Darren plays third for Brendan Botcher's team. They've been to the Brier 2 times in a row. They play in the World Curling Tour and quite successfully knows a number of these players and is very knowledgeable in the sport. So we'll bring Darren on shortly here and get him to join us for an end or so and talk us through some of the things that he's seeing out there with the ice and with the teams. While we wait for Darren to come, we have Walker's first shot of the end. They're going to come down the right side, try to draw and freeze right on top of that. Looks like they got a great throw coming. Laura likes it. Jeff likes it. He's just coasting it in there. Great curl here. Means this rock should ease its way over. And there it goes. Right on top of it. We are going to have a perfect freeze. Laura Walker, a wonderful shot. But as we said all week, it's not one person who makes these shots. It's a team of 2. So some great sweeping as well as great execution on the delivery. Great team shot by Walker and Walker out of the Saville Center in Edmonton. Well, as we watch Magnus try and repeat what Laura Walker just did, draw right down and freeze on top and create some offense for the Norwegian team, up 3-2. Darren Moulding has joined us here. As we said, he's the head ice maker from the Lacombe Curling Club, makes great ice there. But this week he's joined us to support Jim Comfort and Brian Armstrong, who's out of Banff, along with his compatriot Kevin Beauchamp from the Crestwood Club to help us with additional manpower as well as create some great curling ice here for the team. So welcome, Darren. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm great. You were the last one in the building last night? The first one here this morning?
Yeah, actually, Jimmy was here before me this morning. I had to get a coffee and I was a little delayed, so Jimmy was first, but I was here last night, the latest.
I've been in the back room. I think Jimmy's got a cot back there.
Oh, Jimmy's got a good setup back there. He could probably live back there.
Wonderful. Well, you played a lot against Team Gushu, very familiar with Jeff Walker. How has this team been playing? You had a chance to see them a little bit?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been watching them. They're very precise with their rock placement. They've got, obviously, great sweeping. They both sweep well, but obviously Jeff's pretty good powerhouse sweeper. So, yeah, they're very solid. Probably a team to watch for sure.
And this Norwegian team, obviously a bronze medal at the Olympics. They've played a lot of international games. This is the sport they play, the mixed doubles. Have you been impressed with what you've seen with them here this week, and anything you've noted from their play?
Yeah, they're solid, and I noticed with them too. They're very patient with their strategy. You'll see they won't move rocks right away. They'll kind of set up angles first, and then you may see them move some rocks later. But they're usually pretty patient with their strategy.
You bring up an interesting point there. I hate to generalize, but in some of the conversations we've had about the difference between those mixed doubles teams that have committed and are playing that as a discipline and getting to know it professionally versus great curlers coming together for events, it seems to be one of the subtle differences is that those I guess mixed doubles teams do tend to have a little bit more patience and develop ends, whereas the top curlers who come together teams seem to be able to just make that top shot, and seems to be a bit of the difference between these teams.
You don't see as many kind of run back bail out of the end type shots in mixed doubles. You see a lot more kind of freezing and jockeying for position and then throwing the big shot at some point to get your score. And you see sometimes those big ends happen when somebody makes a big shot or there's a big shot missed, but it's similar to four-man that way. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it's definitely a more aggressive style of play.
Yeah, I mean, you can't take out until the fourth thrown rock of the end. You've got two rocks that are placed for you. Really, it's hard to start thinking about taking out because you feel like you only got five rocks. You don't have enough rocks to do it. So it really forces people to play a lot of sort of soft tap shots. And the other thing with this mixed doubles is you only got one sweeper, and they've usually just thrown it and jumped up.
I think, the other thing is when you miss a run back, you're like, I've noticed like any run backs that you throw and you miss, you're in big trouble. Like normally you're in big trouble after you miss them. So it's a little bit higher risk to throw them. And yeah, like you said, you don't have the sweeping. You don't have, sometimes you don't have a broom to throw at. So the shooting percentages are lower, which makes it, I think, quite exciting to watch.
Yeah, and they become human. I think what I've seen a lot is that I'll look at a sheet and, let's say like in this instance, the Norwegians are shooting going, ooh, if they make this shot, it could be in a great situation. Often not made perfect, and all of a sudden the advantage swings right back. With so many rocks in play, any team at any moment can just grab that advantage.
It's a lot more unpredictable for sure than four-man curling. And even I've watched games this week where teams get down 3, 4, 5 points, and early in the game, and it's really like almost expected that they'll actually make a game of it and battle back, and you see a lot of like big swings on the scoreboard.
Yeah, if you remember this morning, those that were watching us this morning, Terry Meek and Cheryl Bernard on Scotland and Thomas took a 4-0 lead and lost the game 9-6. So to your point, big ends. We saw a 5-ender in Banff. We saw a bunch of fours. Yeah, lots of scoring, and it's exciting. The other thing I noticed in this, we've always heard in the regular game, the team with last rock wants, corner guards and rocks behind the tee line, and a lot of rocks end up behind the tee line. A lot of times it seems teams are just trying to bump rocks and position a wall.
Yeah, like I'm watching right now too, and you're just seeing that right over on sheet 2. But even here, it's if you go too high because the ice is curling too much, they're just going to come around it. So you're seeing a lot of the play back into the 4-foot because they're coming deep, so that they can't come around, and then the shot after that is to start tapping stuff back. So you end up with walls at the back of the 4-foot and a lot of interesting angles. It's a fun game to watch.
You talked about curl, and I've been commenting all throughout the week that we're getting almost 6 feet of curl. People are taking it out by the edge of the 12. You've done a great job with creating that out here, you and Jim Comfort. Jim Comfort being the head ice maker here in Canmore. Not just a fine gentleman, but he's been doing his trade for a while here. Are you happy with the curl? Is it consistent across?
Yeah, I'm really happy with the curl. We've been making adjustments as we need to, and obviously we've got a great crew here. Jimmy and AJ and Grant and all the boys are helping out a lot and doing a good job. So I'd like to take all the credit for it, but I can't. There's been a lot of help too.
Yeah, I think I saw you guys doing the wave the other night when you were scraping up, but we don't talk about that here.
Watching us scrape, yeah, it's pretty fun.
Now I should tell our viewers, tree here, we will be keeping our eye because last night Ginter and Schreiner, who are out of Edmonton, I call it an upset, but in this type of curling, not sure you can, but they did take down Parker Moskowy, putting them in the driver's seat, handing Parker Moskowy their first loss, and Gunter and Schreiman with one loss already, putting them in a tie. Laws and Morris are undefeated in that pool, and they're playing Parker Moskowy, so really needing a win for Parker Moskowy against Laws, and of course Ginter and Schreiman needing to beat the Scottish team of Sterling and Kingen. Wasn't that so perfect that Kingen turned around just when we needed to?
At the right time, he saved you.
Probably shouldn't have said that. Anyways, so what do you see happening here, Darren, on our sheet? You got lots of rocks in play.
Looks like that middle blue one is kind of stuck. Definitely on this side, it's stuck. So I think they're just kind of looking at, maybe some damage control here.
Yeah, I think we're down to final stones here,
Yeah.
and that, of course, will be Kristen will be throwing that for Norway, and Laura Walker throwing it for their team, the Edmonton team.
I think definitely, no matter what, Walker should have a shot for 2 of some description here.
Yeah, do you think she can almost get around that red rock, the guard out front, and even tap her blue back, pushing the red? They could be sitting in there for 3 if this isn't thrown right. I'm a little surprised to see the Norwegians looking at this side of the sheet because I don't think they can get shot rock out of it, and I think the play for Walker and Walker is on the other side of the sheet, the right side.
See it? I still don't know what they've decided to throw here.
Well, that's one of the fun things as a commentator. It's almost like the weather now. You're 50-50. You kind of got to guess.
No skip, right? Calling the shot. But I do believe they're trying to bump that blue one out of there.
So you think they're raising the left side red one to get one blue out and to leave the other blue one there?
Try and just plug that red one right there.
Oh, they're going hard on it. They got to hold it there to get it around this guard first. I think they will. Magnus sweeping hard. Oh, it looks like they got a good one. Anytime you're on and off again, as we said, usually results in a good shot, and so it is. I think what you said is right, Darren. It got that one blue out and left the other one shot. So looks like Laura Walker, though, could potentially, if she can get down to almost the nose of that blue, do you think she can push it in and they'll get rid of a few reds and might be able to sneak out a 3?
I don't think so.
There we have it, one optimist.
I think 2 is the most she's gotten here.
All right, well, looks like they're going to play that shot.
But it is a fairly pretty easy shot for 2, right on the nose.
Yeah, and again,
Downweight, you can hit it a little on the outside and you're fine. Just, bump enough to bump it in there.
sometimes when you get greedy, something happens that you don't want to. So I think you're right. They'll probably throw a softer shot. Just make sure they advance the one blue back. If it hits the other one, there's tons of backing.
Yeah.
So Should be fairly routine, but again, only one sweeper, no one holding the broom. Have you thrown a lot in doubles curling? What's it like to look down there when you're used to seeing that big broom head, and now you see nothing? What do you focus on, or what do you think the players look at?
I actually have played a lot of one-on-one curling, and I just stare at a spot on the rings like a broom.
Well, there you go. Just have to visualize a broom.
This is looking good. Should have this made.
Yeah, Jess just looks like he's cleaning it. Now he's on. Laura giving some instruction. Just needs to touch it a bit. And like Darren called, there's a shot for two. And I think it's made. Yes, it is. So two for blue. That's two for Walker Walker. They'll now lead 4-3 at the halfway point. Other good thing for Walker Walker, they're controlling the even ends, which is always a benefit. That usually means in the last one you've got the hammer, the last throw, and a chance to make it happen. So
good game going on.
Really good game. It's always nice to see, too, when you're seeing shots made and made and made. And that's what we're seeing here. One shot by one team, another by the other team. And whether the angles worked out, it's a matter of inches anyways. So, Darren, I got to ask, this place is packed, and as a result, a lot of people out on the ice, which is wonderful to see. And does it have any effect on the conditions of the ice? Does it change temperature? I think the players love it.
It does have some effect on the ice. So I have made some adjustments with the air temperature for that. Now 36 people isn't a lot, but it is enough. They're a bunch of, I just call them living furnaces. They do put some heat and humidity into the air, and you do need to control that. So I have factored that in.
Nice. So you talked about air temperature. Not sure if you talked about that on air before, but is there a certain temperature you try to maintain, or does it just vary building to building based on the construction and the size of it?
Yeah, absolutely. Varies building to building. You can have some guidelines and some baselines to kind of start at and then kind of feel your way out. So that's what I did here when I started is, you've kind of got an idea of where to run, and then you start there, and then based on what you're seeing, you'll make the necessary adjustments with temperature.
From what I've seen of the craft and what I'm hearing from you and the experience during this weekend, I almost have to say you need to be a plumber, an electrician, you need to be a carpenter.
Jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades. You also have to probably jury rig some things to make them work. Is there any interesting story you could share with the audience of something you've had to jury rig in a way to make something work in order to use it as a tool out there?
Yeah, I had heaters before that were blowing hot air onto the ice that I went and cut pieces of sheet metal and covered up the bottom third of the heaters just with, we didn't have enough money to really do anything, so I just kind of covered up the heaters, different harnesses with blades, or you get pretty creative. A lot of curling clubs, they don't have a lot of money to waste, and you've got to be pretty frugal with a lot of stuff, but you're also looking for ways to make the ice better all the time. I find it enjoyable to be creative like that.
I mean, is it fair to say if you're a bike rider, there's tons of different types of pumps, tons of different audiences, tons of different seats. When you look at curling, there's not an overabundance of arenas all over the place. It's a specialized thing, so it's not like people are making all of these different things and are innovating in it. So probably the ice makers are the biggest innovators of their own craft. And you guys are probably creating things that then get duplicated, and they probably are very unique in the sense that, as I say, no one's mass producing them. There's not a big market out there for it, so you do have to be creative and create.
There's a lot of room for innovation in curling, probably more so than a lot of sports. On the ice making side, you create your own things because, like you said, they're not mass produced, and the people who do produce them are ice makers. So, for the most part. So it's an interesting industry for sure.
And I work in the golf industry, and we have superintendents, and they're a breed, and we wonder with ice makers, they always talked about goalies in hockey, and is it a good community? Is there good camaraderie? Do they share a lot together and innovate and grow together? Is it a tight-knit group of people? Because there can't be that many, and a lot of them have been doing their craft a long, long time in these communities.
I think it is very enjoyable to connect with other ice makers. A tight-knit community for sure, because not a lot of people do what we do, so it's kind of a small group of people. And it's great to bounce ideas off each other and share ideas, and it's very enjoyable.
For those of you who might have joined us a bit late, we have Darren Moulding. He's the head ice keeper at Lacombe Curling Club just outside of Edmonton. He's joined us here. He's actually working in Canmore with Jim Comfort and their volunteer crew to bring us this great ice. We're getting almost 15 seconds of glide. We're getting almost 6 feet of curl. So a pleasure for these curlers to play on, and certainly hearing great comments. So Darren's joining us. He's giving us some of his thoughts, not just about this game, the game of curling, and of course the craft of ice making. So Darren, have you been up to Banff Canmore before? Is this sort of a first time for you?
Well, I did a site visit in December, so I've curled in Canmore and some playdowns in the past. So, I mean, no, I don't have a lot of experience here, but yeah, I've been here a few times.
So we'll get a little off this game for a moment and talk a little bit about the upcoming Skins game. So your team, the team Botcher, got the call to come up and join 3 other teams to play in Banff the first weekend in February for the TSN Pinty Skim game. Are you excited for that? It's the first one you've gone to?
We're very excited about it. It's a great opportunity for our team. We're playing Brad Gushu in the semifinals, so we're looking forward to that. We definitely owe him. He's taken a lot of money off of our hands over the last couple of years, so we're looking to play well and give him a good run and see if we can't take a few dollars off of him. But it'll be a challenge, as it always is when you play Brad.
It must be great though to start an event in the semifinals.
Yeah, it's kind of the potential's there for a pretty easy. I say easy, but you don't play a whole lot and you might win some money. So it's a little bit nicer than grinding out a 8 or 10 game weekend, that's for sure.
Well, this end's developing. There's a couple rocks left. As we take a look at the house here, what are you seeing? We've got obviously the Norwegians up the throw. They're throwing the red stones. They've got 2 in the top 4. Shot stone, I believe, is Walker and Walker in the back of the button with 2 overlapping ones, seemingly providing a bit of protection on the draw path in. What kind of shot do you think they're going to throw here?
They're a little worried about this blue combination because it shoots in to those reds, so I don't know if they're trying to deal with that right now. He might be just trying to peel out the I'm not sure what he's doing here. I can see him peeling that outside rock out to take away the catcher there, but we'll see.
Just so Walker can't slash that in later, you're saying.
Yeah.
Might be trying to also pick the black blue one out with this, because you really can't.
That's what I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's even if he nicks his red, it can't go too far, especially since it'll rub the blue. But here we go. Yeah, I don't know. He might catch this a little thin. I think it's going to come into his red. Oh. And it does.
He was trying to throw that double on the 2 blues.
He was. Now, if you notice, we've seen a few games. It can just always be in the release, and it can be in the slide. But it seems that when they put a little more positive handle on this. You have to on this type of ice, so the rock will get away from you. But does it just stay straighter, or even slide a bit out on that?
Well, when the ice is 15 seconds, the quicker the ice gets, the less curl you're going to get on hits. So when they throw that positive release, they get the rock going back a little bit, and it'll continue doing that just because when it's going that fast and the ice is that keen, it doesn't have time to grab. So you'll actually, when I throw peel, I usually, on like ice like this, I'll usually take about 3 or 4 inches negative ice. But it's not really that the ice is falling, it's that you've thrown the rock to back off.
Gotcha.
And most of the guys that play on really swingy arena ice have to throw the rock like that.
I wonder what it feels like when you're out there yelling sweep and there's no sweeper.
Yeah, you don't hear quite as much yelling in mixed doubles. It's interesting that they have some music going out on the ice, and that kind of threw me off the first time I saw that. But there's way less people. There's half the amount of people out there, half the amount of noise probably, or less.
Yeah. What do you think they were trying to do there? It seemed like they might be trying to block that up a little bit. Probably came in a little deeper and almost put them into shot or stonier. Well, certainly accessible on the right side to tap up a little further if they want. But Walker and Walker still have those 2 blues that they can use to advance in should that happen.
Couple rocks in the key for Walker. Right now I'd say advantage Walker in this end.
Well,
but we all know how quickly that can change.
Shot needs to be made. Well, the situation here, we're through 4 ends, playing in the 5th. There is one more stone to come from Walker and Walker. That will be delivered by Laura Walker, who is throwing the 1st and 5th stones for the team. But right now, the second last stone for the Norwegians being thrown by Magnus Nedregotten. Looks like they're trying to make a play on that blue to try and take away that raise, maybe roll in a little bit and get a little bit of coverage over top of the other blue so that it can't be red on blued in. Magnus is underway. Well, he's up quick so he can help sweep. We've got Kristen on the call, and she's got him sweeping. It's trying to curl here. He's holding it, though. He's holding it. Can he get it by? I think he will. Yes, he will. Now he's just got to hold it so he can hit enough of both rocks and not interfere.
All right. Well, a little nose or a hit and roll here, and it's going to be a tough shot for one.
Yeah. You know, I don't think that quite worked out they wanted. That being said, it opens it up so that if Walker and Walker don't throw it perfect here, at least they should have an easy draw into the
He will
backing.
have options for sure.
Yeah.
He's got a raise on his red one, top 8. But yeah, like you said, Walker, they got to make this one good.
Yeah, if they roll a little too far, well, just draw straight down with some backing. But again,
I would expect probably a back 12 weight, maybe back line type weight here.
I think that'd be right, because that way Walker with his powerful sweeping can hold it and guide it in. And of course, they don't need to get rid of this rock. They really just got to push it into the back 8. All right, we've just had Darren Molding. He's here working with the ice crew to bring us this wonderful conditions we have here. Of course, Jim Comfort, the head ice maker here, welcoming Darren into his home, and they've been working together greatly in creating great conditions. Darren's just stepping away, a little bit of business to take care of. But in the meantime, we're back at the game. We've got Laura Walker delivering the final stone for Walker and Walker, leading 4-3 in the 5th end, trying to come down and remove the Norwegian stone, that is shot rock, and get a little bit of a roll into the middle. Needs to get to the inside, though. Wants to get to the inside. It has to curl. Jeff's now helping it. He's trying to help. It's got to curl enough to get by. Yes, it does. So able to move that red stone back. She does sit right there. Does give Magnus and Kristen the opportunity to play off that if they want. But I'm not sure if they can roll over. It's going to be tight. They really just have to make a shot, whether they want to draw in from the left or come down to about 3/4 on that shot blue stone and just flop over, catching a little bit of that button, which might give them the shot stone, but not going to be an easy play, whatever they choose. Well, it seems like they want to just draw it in, which isn't a bad call because you do have backing if you do miss the top blue one, and if you do rub it, should be able to, at the right weight, slow down and stop in the on the button, which is what they're going to need, a piece of that white if they're going to outcount the Walker stone. But you are also throwing against 4 blue, and that always is in the back of your mind when you're throwing. If you're drawing for 1 against 1, that is a different situation than when you're drawing for 1 against 4. And there's lots in play, stuff out front, and of course nobody in the house showing you the spot, but these teams play this regularly, and I'm sure they're very used to that. They visualize, pick a spot, and they throw, just as Darren Molding told us. So here's Kristen into the hack, ready to throw. Last stone of this 5th end. All right, Magnus is right over top of it. No call for sweep yet. It's just keeping it clean. Always a good sign when there's cleaning off. Means he likes it. Here it starts to come now, but is it a little bit up in weight? No, it looks like it's good. It's really starting to hook. Yeah, I think they've got it by. They do. It's all weight now. It's all weight. It's going to hook right in. This looks like a wonderful shot. Wonderful shot. Did he do it? Did he do it? Let's just take a look. And yes, absolutely. What a fantastic draw. Drawing against 4 with guards and not a lot of room, taking advantage of the great swing we have in this ice. Kristen puts that right on the pin using a little bit of backing, and they get their 1 point. So certainly a dangerous situation, but the reason that they're bronze medalists at the Olympics and a top international mixed doubles team is because of just that. Kristen Skaslien making a wonderful saving shot here at the end of the fifth to make it tied and avoid a big steal. All right, we'll say thank you to our sponsors if we can. Qualico Mixed Doubles Classic. It's brought to you by our major sponsor, Qualico. Been great supporters of our event. Great people, too. They've been up here taking part and participating and spending time. Had a chance to chat with them, and just absolutely great people. I'm sure it's also, by extension, an absolutely wonderful company there. We've got the Malcolm Hotel, Vision Electronics, and Bow Valley Credit Union as our silver sponsors. And we do have Ashram Curling sponsor, as well as a lot of local businesses that have stepped up, not just to participate in coming and watching and being around the event, but supporting our event and helping us bring it to you. Thank you to all of them, and thank you to the town of Canmore and town of Banff, who have been very supportive and cooperative in our endeavor as well. Now we'll get back to the game, as we said, Nedregotten and Skaslien with a tremendous last rock by Kristen Skaslien, scoring their one and tying the game up. And as a result, Kristen will throw the first stone of this end, trying to come around onto the button and maybe even just bump back the blue one a little bit to get us going, and once again put a lot of rocks in play. Oh, Magnus is guiding this. Seems to be a bit light, I think. He's going a little bit hard, but no, they're by the rock. Looks like perfect weight. She just threw this the other way, and she did it again. She's got tremendous control of her weight right now, does Kristen. And they've obviously picked up on the line, because that was perfect to get it right around the center guard. So obviously this team knows what they're doing with the ice here and feels very comfortable with the weight. And Kristen is not fazed by facing four and not fazed by her first shot to draw around. So we can obviously see why she's been chosen to throw the first and the last stones of this end. Now Laura will try to respond. She'll come the other way this time with Jeff on the broom, trying to put one down right on top of that. We'll try to freeze right in and sit for shot stone. Locked right onto this red rock. Jeff's onto it early, though, really sweeping hard. The line is a bit tight. He's really going hard to get by. Weight does seem to be good, but he's got to go hard if they're going to get it by. It is really tight to this guard, and it will just kiss off. So that will move away. Well, there's still a bit of a hole, but that blue rock is blocking the path that we've seen used to come into the button. So teams will have to go wider than they would normally want to go on this sheet if they're to draw around. Can still get access to the 4-foot, but in a bit of new territory. So as a result, Magnus and Team Norway are choosing to come the other way to get down on top of their red rock. This not going very far outside the regular path they've been using all game to come around the center line guards. Just want to give you a bit of a quick update now as we look at the other sheets. We see that Tran and Peterman, they're playing against the Brazilian national team. They've taken a 9-0 lead over on sheet 1. As we look at Laws Morris playing against Park Muscowie, as we said, a very critical game. Park Muscowie almost in a must-win situation here if they want to look at playing on Sunday in the championship. That game is all tied. So we'll keep you up to date on that. On our other sheet beside us, sheet 3, we have Ginter Scheiman playing against Kingen and Sterling. Kingen and Sterling, one of the Scottish teams that came over to play with us. Aikens and Andrews being the other Scottish team. And, of course, Fowler and Fowler from England making up that British development team. As we look at that sheet, we see that the Scots are up. They're up 5-2. But Ginter and Scheiman, they have last rock in that. So we'll keep an eye, because Ginter and Scheiman are in that same pool with Laws, Morris, and Park Muscowie, and they're at 2-1, and Morris with no losses, and Park with 1 loss. Very critical games here. Everyone needing to win, and based on what does happen, we'll identify what that pool will look like. But those are the 3 teams that are vying for the 2 championship spots that they'll earn in the pool. The way we're running this event, there are 36 teams. They have been divided into 6 pools with 6 teams in each, so 5 games. At the end of those 5 games, the top 2 teams in each pool will advance to the championship round. Our first round being tonight in Canmore at 7 o'clock. The 8 teams with the worst record of those groups will play off, and 4 of those will move on to play our top 4 teams as identified by play through this pool. pool play. Great shot by Jeff Walker, coming right through that little port, and it is a little port, and moving both red stones out and sitting right there in a control position on top of the button. Certainly accessible to Norway, and certainly Norway's got two rocks sitting shot 2 and 3. So, things starting to build, and a missed shot here or there can create a big end, but with the great shot making we're seeing, we don't expect anything crazy to happen like that. So it looks like Magnus is going to try and come to that same port that Jeff came through. He's going to try and remove that blue stone and roll over under the blue corner guard that we can see out front. Of course, Walker and Walker do have the hammer and do have last stone. Magnus will get set down there again, choosing to have Kristen stay in the house and call line. A lot of times we've seen the second person out sweeping, but we've seen more and more during this game with the Norwegian team that that's not a strategy that they employ as much as we've seen with a lot of the other teams, choosing instead to have someone in the house holding a broom and calling line. So Magnus has let it go. He's comfortably up. This one seems a bit out. It's got a curl to get through that hole. It's going to come down to his weight. Looks like he's going to try and help with some directional sweeping. It does need to curl. It's starting to come now. He is through. Oh, this looks like a great shot. Did it over curl? Ah, yes, it did. Just a little bit. They waited, and I think just with the weight choice, by the time it came off that outside guard, they weren't able to stop it from over curling. So a very small port. You'd need weight if you're trying to hold that line, but certainly won't be upset with that. They've got 3 rocks in play. They have control in the top of the house. And Walker and Walker will have to be careful as they try to build an end. I think they're going to try the same shot. I think you'll see a little more weight, and they're going to try and get that roll for themselves. All right, just settled in. So we've seen 2 rocks come down this path through the hole. The teams both should be very comfortable with it, but they are alternating a little bit of their weights. So they'll have to be careful as you adjust weight. That means the line needs to adjust a little bit too, but looks like Jeff's right on this. So a little more weight. He's trying to hold it if he can. It's just got to come off that guard, though. It's not off yet. They tried to play it tight, and it did not curl for them, and they will wreck. And unfortunately, it jams on the other side and leaves their stone right on top of the red. So Norwegians now have 1 in shot stone right on the top of the 4, second stone back 4, and that shot stone is guarded out front by the blue. So looks like they're going to try and draw around and sink another one behind the blue in the house. Of course, the talents of Walker and Walker, that run back is available to them. Of course, they won't have the same sweeping they might be used to for it, but as we watched in our earlier game today, and some of Charlie Thomas's shots, making a few key run backs he did in that game to help that team earn the victory against Meek and Bernard. Yep, looks like the signal quite clear there. We're going to come around. We're going to come around and draw right down to the face of that red one. And here we go, Magnus coming out delivery. Very nice technique, very nice slide, very straight. Very nice positive release as he lets it go. It'll all come down to weight, but the hole's available, but his rock's just hanging out. But we should see, there it goes now, it should start curling over. In fact, now he's trying to hold it from the curl. It's really taking off across. I think he's going to be on the guard. He looks a little bit light, he does. He does just sneak by and should be able to get it up into the top 8, and it does just slide through. So certainly nice, but as you can see from Walker and Walker, there's still room to get a few in there, and with that overlap, it takes away the run back of those reds into it. So a good chance if they can get it around those reds in the house to bury one in there, and probably be hard for the Norwegians to get at it. First of all, the course shot's got to be made, so let's see. They're going to just take a peek. Looks like they might now play a hit. No, I think they're just trying to identify where exactly they want it lining up for the guard. So here we go. Jeff is going to try and come around and use those staggered rocks in the house. Probably the most famous time that we saw that happen was in a Briar when Furby's team, they had won, I think, 4 in a row, and they were going for a 5th, and they're up against Nova Scotia. And the last end, and using Christmas tree rocks in the house, top of the 8-foot and along, the Nova Scotia team of Darcy were able to get them around and take away that win. I always remember that moment in curling, and I remember watching that and seeing that happen. And so these rocks in the house, especially with the curl we get, they can be used as guards. All guards don't have to be out in front, but Jeff's really going hard. The line's really tight on this one. He does have backing, but he's got to get it by this top situation. And I don't think he will. No, he's going to rub and wreck on this. Well, the good news is he opens a bit of a path. He leaves himself a usable rock. The bad news, of course, is that Norwegians are sitting 2, and they have good control behind a center line guard with their stones. So option still for Walker and Walker, but Norwegians certainly sitting in an advantageous position here. Looks like they want to try and block that hole, and in doing so, you'd want to leave it in a place that the hit couldn't score them 1, and also that the slash can't be put into the button. So it looks like they're going to try and block that up and get another one in for a counter. Yeah, they seem to be on the same page here. Great communication, as you can see, looking at it from the different angles. And now we're going to see here the final stone for the Norwegians. We're going to see Kristen throw it. It will be their last stone of the end. Laura, of course, will be able to respond with her last after this. Norwegians looking to try and block this hole and not leave a hit that will allow Walker to get out of this end and force them into a very difficult shot, either to tap their blue back or slash it across as a hit. So certainly not the position they wanted to be in and not where they were building, but let's wait and see if the shot's made by the All right, it's underway. Magnus is on it. He's sweeping hard, and he's sweeping to hold it there. Weight does look good. It does look like it's out far enough, so the guard's not a problem. He's just trying to keep it in line of that hole. He's keeping his head up and looking as he sweeps. Does seem to be coming a bit deep, though, so not sure why they're still sweeping it. This is going to go maybe a little bit deep, so while still a tremendous shot, by coming that deep, it does leave Laura the chance to just do that exact same draw. And if she gets through the hole between the blue and red, there's really nothing to not stop it and not give her the shot. So by doing that, they've basically given Laura the entire backing she needs. Of course, she has to navigate that hole between the blue and red, but should she be able to navigate it, it's pretty well a slam dunk single for the team of Walker and Walker. So being given a little bit of a lifeline there. Let's hope that Walker and Walker, I'm sure, will want to take advantage of that. And you can see by Kristen's expression and shaking that she's not pleased with that result. They were sweeping it to keep the line because obviously didn't want to disturb the situation they had, but by doing so, it did glide a little bit deep. You can see, yeah, she knows exactly what she's created. That being said, still a tied game and only a chance for one. And last end, if you remember, Walker and Walker had set up a 4, and Kristen made a tremendous draw to negate it. So let's see if Laura can do the exact same this end and pay it back. So she's way out there. This rock, it does need to curl. Here it comes. If she's got the right weight, it should curl, and it looks like it does. Jeff now, he's really sweeping it. He's now changing to help direction it. Looks like he's going to get a little rub and need a little bit, and yes. Oh, that hung out there a long time. Getting a little rub, but such great control of her weight, knowing she had backing. She had enough speed to carry it on through with that rub, and last end, Kristen bailed out the Norwegian team. This end, Laura Walker doing exactly the same, showing a great final stone to get the one, negate the big steal, and leave us and them with a 1-point lead over the Norwegians, Skaslien and Nedregotten, heading into the 7th end. So we have 2 ends left. Very tight game, something we did expect from these teams. These are the 2 top-seeded teams in the pool, both very competent teams, and yeah, look forward to see what happens. And it does appear The Norwegians are invoking their power play. Each team in a game, when they have hammers, allowed to call the power play once, and looks like that they're going to take advantage of this situation and call it. It's usually called for an opportunity to try and generate more points, and of course if you've got last rock, you're able to take all the play out to the wings and leave exposed the center line so that you can get out of an end if it doesn't work out for you. We've seen 3 different tactics used against the power play. The most common one played by a lot of the teams is to throw it down the outside and try and advance your guard into the house or over to the center line and roll your rock out of play. That exposes the back stone and gives you something in the center. The other one has been just to draw around as normal, right down to the face of it, and freeze on it to negate that stone. And the last one has been just a straight draw to the center line to give yourself a center line guard. Of course, in the mixed doubles rules, you cannot remove rocks until the 4th thrown stone of the end. So placing a center line guard, there's no way the Norwegians can just come up and peel it out. Of course, they're going to look to play around that corner guard and try and generate play on the outside and get a few buried anyways. But Walker and Walker seemingly wanting to get the center line covered, something that they can take advantage of. So this is one of the techniques we've seen. We've seen 3, and let's see how it plays out for them. All right, Chris and Skaslien throwing rocks 1 and 5 is all set and ready to go. They're going to try and draw around the outside guard and freeze down basically on top of the red that's already in the house, the place stone. That place stone on a power play is placed with the back of the stone against the tee line and the rest of the stone intersecting between the 12-foot and the 8-foot. Our rocks away. The way it's being swept, it looks like they like the weight. Needs to curl though. He's going to move over Magnus and try and directionally sweep that over. It's not coming the way they want. Of course, most of the time they're throwing outside into the center line, so you're usually not throwing center line out, and it seems that there's a lot more curl coming out to in than in to out. So I'm sure they'll make that adjustment very quickly as this end continues on. The good news though, even though that does poke out, Walker and Walker, other than being able to tap it, can't make a play, can't take it out yet. Of course, we said you can't take it out to the 4th stone, and that 4th stone will belong to Skaslien and Nedregotten on their next shot. Walker and Walker will want to try and get a rock around this top 12 guard that they placed and get one into great position to force the play back to the center and, of course, get shot rock, especially with 2 Norwegian rocks in. So really important shot here for Jeff to get around this guard and put it in the top 4. Well, we watch this shot come down. We'll bring you a quick update from the other sheets. Kingen and Sterling have stolen 1 in 6, so with 2 ends left to go, they're up 6-2 on Ginter and Schiemann. Ginter and Schiemann, of course, upsetting Parker Muscovy last night, needing a win here, so we'll have a little bit of work to do as they play the remainder of the 7th end and into the 8th to get themselves back in, needing a win. Meanwhile, over in another critical matchup in that pool between Caitlin Laws, John Morris, and Parker Muscovy, we're seeing that Laws and Morris are up 6-3 in that game, and hammer belonging to Parker Muscovy, they are needing to win. Should both of them lose, well, that would put Ginter Scheinman with 2 losses. That would put Parker Muscovy with 2 losses, and also bring Kingman and Sterling back into the fold. So certainly lots going on in that pool, lots to be figured out, but still 2 ends of play. We'll wait and see what unfolds for the remainder of those 2 ends. Back to our feature game. Jeff Walker making an absolutely wonderful draw around. It is deep, but it is fully buried. So the defensive play here, and that is allowed. They're going to try the Norwegians to remove that trouble stone, which is the one in the top 12, and get it out of the way and expose the back blue, and if possible, roll over and into the rings to give themselves one more potential counter at the end of the end. Looks like it's got a great shot coming. It's coming over. It needs to curl a little more. It looks like they might try to get the double. And no, going for the double, it jammed. That does move that blue rock up a little bit in the house. It's still partially exposed. The good news for the Norwegian team is they do control that control zone just in front of the house. That's at 3 feet in front of the house, within 2 feet of the center line. Easy to use that stone to advance it back into whatever situation could develop in the 4-foot. So We're looking at Walker and Walker sitting 1, but by staying there, you'll give them a chance, I think, to play on these outside reds and try and remove them. Those are danger because there's 2 of them, and rather than try and solidify the situation in the center, the prudent play here would be to make a hit on that. You can probably get a double if you just get off center on the right of that and get rid of both those red stones, but at least get rid of 1, and you should be sitting 2. Well placed in the house. Laura coming down to sweep. No one in the house to hold the broom. Jeff picking his spot. He'll let it go. And we'll just listen and see. Laura not putting a broom to it yet. From our advantage point, he is on that red. Needs to curl a little more for the double. It's got to go a little more so he doesn't jam it. Yes, go. Laura's now going to try and sweep that one out. Can she get it out? She can't. But it is way back in the house. But still, it does count. And when it counts, it counts. So if there's no blue rocks in, that rock can be brought in play, and that's exactly what we're going to see happen here. The Norwegians are going to try and pick out that blue rock and roll across to sit 2, and with the power play in stake, that's exactly what they're trying to do, 2 or more. So great attempt there by Walker and Walker. Certainly got rid of 1, but a chance here for the Norwegians to take advantage of that and sit 2. Well, that applause that you heard, there has been thunderous applause. A great crowd here in Canmore. We're full to the rafters, and they are engaged in these games. There's lots of hums and haws and claps. That was Caitlin Laws throwing a tremendous shot to leave them sitting 2 and force Park Muscovy to have to do a hit for 1 and go to the last end down 2 without hammer. Well, great attempt. They executed getting the blue one out, but didn't curl enough, so they rolled out themselves. As we said, advantage back. Now Walker and Walker have to decide, do you come around and get into a scoring position? Do you freeze on the back one as Jeff's tapping there? Or do you come around and remove it so that there is no 2 red stones available in the house? What we should also say, though, that top red, but where it's positioned outside the house, very, very splittable. So I want to be careful. If you roll out here, I think you'll see the Norwegians take on that split. The split would separate the stones in the house and make it difficult for Walker and Walker to get rid of both with a double. So really important shot. Looks like they're going to draw around. If it comes back a bit heavy, they'll bring it to the back red one. If it stays up top, it can bury above the tee line. So a couple of options for them, plan A, plan B, and I'm sure there's a plan C if you ask them. But here goes Jeff. He's trying to come around this situation and probably just tap out that red or sit down frozen on it. He's right on it, though. Laura's right at him out of his hand. She's yelling. He's sweeping hard. He's starting to slow down there. It needs to curl. Of course, you don't want to leave rocks here because once they go, they go. And he's playing a soft little weight around. So he's on that rock now. Looks like he's got a doozy. This is a great throw. Right down on it, and they remove it out. So now the Norwegians don't have a chance to get 2 other than the split, but because of that takeout and where it stayed middle of 12 foot, the split would have to be made really, really good for the rock that hits to roll far enough. Usually on a split you're rolling maybe into the full 12 or half 12, but of course that rock in the back is in the middle of the 12. So it looks like they're going to try the split. That kind of ice would seem to indicate that they're going to try the split. If they're holding it in the back of the house, you'd think they're playing down to the blue, but certainly not drawing around the corner, which was one of the options Magnus tapped out, was do we draw around the blue and try and bury one shot and see if they chase it or what they do. But looks like they're electing to go for the split, and we'll see what happens. They do want to hit probably a cross face. He wants to hit about a quarter of that rock. That'll allow the other one to glide a far way over and maybe even get behind the blue and push the other red one in the house. So here goes Magnus. He's letting it go. You'll see him pop up to give sweeping under the direction of Skaslien, and he's on it now. Looks like she's moved back to be able to see all of this situation, so he's sweeping it. Looks like they're not coming cross face. They're going to try and just cut that quarter of the rock, but I think he might have got it too thick. No, I think he got enough. Can he get that other one in, though? Great attempt. They were trying to push the one behind the guard and roll in, but just not enough to outcount the back blue, so that will give a chance for Walker and Walker to hit that red and lie 2, which will force the draw for 1. Of course, that red is just a little bit covered. Anytime there's a guard even out front, it does play in your mind. And of course she does want to stick around. If she does roll out, or the team rolls out, then that will leave an open hit for 2. So certainly great pressure being applied, doing what they can, the Norwegians, to try and get their 2 in this end. Certainly 1 is not bad, but 2 at least gives them the lead going into our final end of play. Well, just coming down, and what we've seen so often this week, these players pay great attention not just to the lines, to the rocks. They also pay a lot of attention to where they're going to throw their next stone. They make sure it's clean. They don't want anything to interfere. That's just good maintenance before a rock throw. So Laura's settling herself in now. She knows what she has to do. She's done extremely well this game throwing last rocks. We saw an example of that last end, throwing a wonderful draw in against 4 to take her point. Now she's got to throw a touchy little weight shot to try and remove this red stone and stick around, that being the key, because if you roll too far, the Norwegians will have a shot for 2. So Laura's getting ready to throw, needs to remove this red and stay somewhere in the house that's at least full 12 to outcount that top 12. And I should say also not leave a chance at a double. So a lot of things to think about, but first and foremost, need to get rid of that red stone. All right, Laura's underway. Dead straight slide. Nice positive release. Jeff is right on it, though. He is sweeping this hard right out of her hand. That is curling hard. Jeff is a great sweeper. He's trying to hold it. I think he's got it. He does. That'll get by the guard. Now they want it to sit. They want it to sit. They don't want to leave a double, so he's going to take that across the house as far as he can go to make it a hard double. Great heads-up play there by Jeff. He could have let that go, might have left a double, but no, that is in a great spot. There is not a double setup that would allow the Norwegians to keep their rock around. So they're going to draw. Nice thing, too, is that's in the middle of the 8, so, you know, you have to be a little bit careful with the draw. If it slides a bit far, could leave a steal of 1. They're certainly looking at this, probably trying to decide which way do we want to draw. Do we want to draw center line out to that and use it as backing, or just do what we've done all game and throw the same draw from the outside in? That to me would seem to be the logical. We don't know too much about the inside out here. Haven't been thrown a lot because a lot of the play comes from the outside in. I would tend to think you'd want to throw that normal rock that you throw at the beginning of most ends when you try and do the draw around to the center. Also, the center gives you the maximum length of distance for your stone to come to stop against, to outbeat the middle of the 8 there. So Kristen's getting in the hack, getting ready to throw. Magnus will be sweeping this one. He's got his timer right on his broom. We can see that there. He's going to start it when it gets to the hog line, and he'll keep a track on how he thinks it's going, and will react accordingly. All right, Kristen looks like she's settled in. She's done her pre-shot routine we've gotten used to. Now she's going to slide out, and let's see where we get to. Oh, she's actually throwing a hit. They decided to throw a hit rather than the draw. I am a bit surprised. This is staying out there, but it has come off. And there we go. Well, a great shot nonetheless. I was a little surprised they'd throw the hit there, just because without that 2 sweepers and the chance for it to roll out and give away 1. But certainly they know their game and they know the ice, and she threw that beautifully. So nice hit and stay. 1 for the Norwegians. We are all tied up coming home. Slight advantage to Walker and Walker because they have the hammer, but as we've seen so often, that advantage is just slight, because we do have a center line guard to start. We do have a rock behind the T line to start, and certainly we have we're not allowed to take a rock out until the 4th shot. This is a tremendously smart move by Walker and Walker. They are going to invoke their power play, which they have the right to do with last rock and having not called one before. What this will do is force play out to the wings, leave the center open, because all they need here is 1, and they want to keep that center line open for themselves, because they certainly want to give themselves a great shot, easier shot for their last shot to earn the win. Well, that loud applause is showing you that the game is over on sheet 2. Laws and Morris have defeated Park and Moscowy. They will go undefeated in their pool and move on to the championship round. Park and Moscowy now must wait to see what happens in the other game beside them. That's the game of Sterling Kingen and Ginter Scheiman. They are right now 6-4 for Sterling and Kingen, and they have the hammer. So certainly an advantage there for them, but We'll see how this plays out. And we're back underway. All right, before we do this final end, we just want to say one last thank you to our sponsors. Qualico, our major sponsor here, the Qualico Mixed Doubles Classic. We have the Malcolm Hotel, Visions Electronics, and Bow Valley Credit Union as our silver sponsors, and many numerous local sponsors. You can see there on the screen. Lots of thanks out to them and Ashram for supporting us. And of course, our two towns, who without their support and their assistance, we wouldn't be able to put this whole event on. So thank you very much to all of them, and we really appreciate all the support that they've given us and all the supports of the fans. As we said, we're here in Canmore, we're here all day, and this place is packed so much that we have about 30 plus people sitting along the boards in the rink. They didn't want to turn anybody away. They want everybody to be able to watch this great curling in our community, and they've made this allowance for them to do it. As we heard from the head ice maker Darren Molding, he's made the adjustments. He said it's like having 36 little furnaces out there, and that's what it is. So he has made some adjustments, but the ice is holding up. It's still going keen at 15. We're still getting the 6 feet of curl. So he's done a great job with all that, along with Jim Comfort, the head ice maker here in Canmore, taking charge of the ice with Darren's support, as well as support of a number of volunteers helping them with ice each and every draw. Well, we're seeing here what can happen. They tried to play a little bump on that center line guard to move it over to the wings and roll over themselves. It just over curled, and with that little bit of extra rate ran it through. You're not allowed to remove a rock until the fourth thrown stone. So what they do is they remove the thrown stone, that belonging to Walker and Walker, and they replace the opponent's stone, which belongs to Norwegians, and that's what just happened there. So Norway, having that center line guard, will now try and draw around and place one on the button and get one in scoring position that they can hopefully continue to build on or protect. Meanwhile, Walker and Walker having one in the house already by virtue of the power play and positioning of stone. We're now at the first rock by Magnus this end. He gets to throw 3, and then Kirsten will throw 1 final stone for them. So we're underway. He has thrown it. Nice positive release. Nice clean slide. Looks like a good line. We've seen a lot of rocks come down this way. So as long as the weight's right, that line looks great for getting where he wants to be. And the fact that he's on and off again certainly is a good sign for him. He is doing a bit of directional sweeping, trying to encourage it over, but I think it's going to get there on their own. And yes, it is. He does want to keep it high, it looks like. They want to keep it high because you can bet that Walker will be removing that center line guard, which he is now entitled to, whereas before he couldn't because it wasn't the fourth rock of the end. So Laura Walker choosing to go down to help sweep because this is an important shot. They will likely try to get rid of both stones at the same time, likely try to come across face on the top red and pick out the other red. If they can do that, certainly brings advantage back to them once again in this end. And we're underway. Jeff has let go. It's coming. They're trying to sweep to hold it, and they will successfully move the one red away and just touch the other red, but accomplished the job. They wanted to get rid of that top, and what they really want to do is make sure that when Laura goes down to the hack, she has an easiest as possible shot on her final stone. The Norwegian team wants to clutter up that center line, at some point come around it and make it very difficult for Walker and Walker to make their final shot and win the game. So just an update over on sheet 1. It's over. Peterman were up on the Brazilian national team at 9-0. The Brazilian national team scored 2 and 5. One by Tran and Peterman to go up 10-2, and then the Brazilians scored 2 more and 7. So certainly getting on the board and getting a few deuces. That game ends at 10-4, and so we're down to just 2 games. Ginter-Scheimer, they have just drawn in to sit 2 in this 8th end, so they are lying 2, but Sterling and Kingman do have the last rock to throw, and these 2 are together in the house, so we'll have a chance to just make contact and get rid of 1. They can afford to give up 1 and win the game. Looks like Sterling is going to go down and throw this final stone, and Kingman will provide the sweeping. So the rock's available to her. If she can make this, they will win. They will have 2 losses. Ginter and Scheiman will have 2 losses. Park in Moss, we will have 2 losses, and we will have an interesting review to see who then will go on. That will probably bring into effect the last stone draw. Before every game, each player on each team throws a rock. Those last stone draws are measured to determine who gets hammered, but also used in tiebreakers for these pools. And it looks like we may have one of those situations coming up right here, and we'll get back to you on that probably in the next broadcast, and we'll let you know what's going to happen. But right now, Jeff's going to try and remove this guard. He's thrown it. Laura's down there sweeping. She's going hard. He is on the outside. Looks like it's going to happen. And he does. He removes that rock and gets rid of his in the same time. So certainly the Norwegians putting them up. Walker taking them out. We're wasting stones away, which is exactly what Norway wants. You will eventually see, if this happens, Christen come down and draw around that top red and try and put it in the top 4, leaving either Walker a double run back or a draw down to outcount that. So lots could still happen here, but this seems to be the way it's playing out. And Magnus, of course, first has to put his rock up high as a guard before Jeff can go down and hit it. Magnus delivering his final stone, trying to put a guard about halfway from the hog line to the house and protecting that rock in the house. Again, beautiful delivery, full control, straight, and a nice little positive release. With all this curl that we're getting here, 6 feet, you've got to put a positive release on that stone. And if you don't, it tends to just take off on you. But Magnus obviously knows that. Been delivering well, and looks like he will replace that stone just beautifully again. Nice long guard, and I think you'll see Walker take it out, but they are considering potentially drawing. They can. Again, those are centerline guards, not to the advantage of Walker, but at some point you've got to get in there, and sometimes it's best to be the first one in there. If you do, it makes the other team shot a little bit harder. So the risk, of course, is if you don't make that shot, well, they've got a great setup, and you're going to have a more difficult last shot. So just like in chess, these two teams are back and forth. It looks like Walker might make that first move to try and get one in the house and force the Norwegians to have to make a harder shot on their attempt to get in behind all those stones. So we'll wait and see what they finally decide. I do like what Laura is saying, leave it high, because if they try to hit, it won't be able to hit and roll behind, but it'll be available to them to advance, because there is both sides available. Although I'd say on the left side, to draw the button, you are going to have to paper that outside left guard. With the curl we're getting and the speed you'd need, I'm not sure if you can get through that port with the right weight. It certainly would be very, very tricky. So I think that's why they're looking at putting one here in the top 8 on the right side, so they can use it and make the draw harder for the Norwegian team. Would have to come out and around that or hit and roll over, leaving Laura a lot of 8-foot and 4-foot to draw into. Very great strategy decision, I feel, here by Walker. The only thing they don't want to do is bring this deep and give the Norwegians a chance to draw it down and lock on it, making Laura's shot harder at the end. So we'll wait and see what happens, but Jeff's in the house trying to put this just into the top 8. Nice straight slide, good positive release by Jeff. He's up, he's there, he knows the weight. He's been out here all day playing and sweeping these rocks. It's coming down nice. Laura's calling line. They want this one to stop, I think. They want it to stop. It certainly has the weight, but looks like they're going to take it. Looks like they're going to take it back because it's heavy. I think they're going to take this one back. Well, not the ideal. That being said, the good thing is that Walker will have learned that path. They will have a great idea of what it's doing. Jeff should be able to help Laura with what the weight's like. And so certainly some knowledge gained there, but I think Jeff and Laura would have loved that one about 6 feet higher, blocking the path and, of course, in position to force the Norwegians either to make a hit and roll, giving them a lot more room to draw to, or having to come wide and a new path around and leaving them the chance to tap their own back. So certainly a miss, but they have one more stone to come, and Skaslien, she needs to make a really good draw in here to force the issue. So I think we're going to see the exact same path thrown here, and trying to put this one deeply buried up in the top 4. All right, we're underway. The rock's delivered. Magnus is there to offer the sweeping. He jumped right on it out of her hand. It barely, I don't even know if she had let that go when he was on it. Not sure if it's weight or line, but he jumped that hard. He's really sweeping hard to hold that out there. Looks like it is though, so I don't know if weight's good, but it is a great looking shot. Now he's changed over. He's going to try and make it buried. He wants to make this buried. He's got to get this in behind best he can. Wants to leave it on top four as best he can. What a fantastic shot. Absolutely fantastic shot there by Skaslien. That is beautiful. Coming down perfectly. And what a great job by Magnus, anticipating that right out of the hand. He swept that hard. You can see those shoulders going up and down. He is breathing hard. He swept that hard all the way, and a great result. Now, the good thing for Walker and Walker is they have a blue stone in the half 8 foot. So in coming around, they can't afford to just move it out. I think they'll play lighter weight, just trying to tap it about 3 feet. So I think you'll see a back 8 line, a back 8 throw here. They do have the advantage if they roll out of the other one, but they do need to move this red rock back. So hopefully the thrown rock will come over far enough and stick in the 4, but if it doesn't, there's still the opportunity of that blue rock on the left out counting wherever the red rock ends. So Laura's all set. Jeff's ready to sweep. Laura's played a great game all game. Wonderful hit last stand. Beautiful draw the end before. She needs to do it again. Let's see if she can. She's ready and she's off and delivering. You're going to see about a back 8 weight. She's positively released this. Jeff's ready. Laura's calling line. They need to get off it. This has to curl. This needs to curl. They're waiting for it. It needs to come. In fact, Jeff may need to help this one over. It needs to come. It needs to come a lot. It needs to come a lot. They need this over, and it will not. Oh, just that little extra weight and that little extra positiveness, and it just hung a little longer. Didn't quite catch the grab and the break, and as a result, Walker and Walker will lose this. The Norwegians playing a wonderful game. Skaslien, a tremendous last throw. Her with partner Magnus and his sweeping put it in the perfect spot. Walker and Walker unable to respond, but certainly a great game by Walker and Walker. And I think we can see why both these teams are the 2 top seeds in this pool, and both these teams are 2 top teams in the world of mixed doubles curling. Well, that makes it interesting in that pool as well. Walker and Walker will suffer another loss. We'll need to find out what happened with Aikens and Andrews and Ashton and Cruto. Both of them have got 2 wins as well. If they won today, they would go to 3-2, and we'd have to see how we break that tie. So certainly in that pool, we had the Norwegians going through 5-0 like Laws and Morris did, but we have a bit of a bottleneck with 3 teams with 2 losses. So we'll take a look here and tell you next draw what all that means once we know what's happened with Aikens and Andrews and Ashton and Cruto in that pool. If you just want to give us a moment, we're going to see if we can get an interview here with someone before we get to the next draw. So just hang around, and we'll be back with you hopefully within the next couple of minutes with the conversation with one of our curlers. All right, well, we just watched a fantastic game. Top two teams in that pool. We saw the Norwegian team with Skaslien and Nedregotten saying that all game, and now I can't even remember it when they're right here in front of me, but they've joined us. They just had a 1-point victory over Walker and Walker. They've gone undefeated through the pool system. First of all, welcome. How have you felt this week?
Oh, it has been amazing being here in beautiful surroundings and good ice conditions. And yeah, now we're just looking forward to the rest of the games, I guess.
So you were sweeping a ton out there. In fact, that last rock, I don't even know if, Christian, you'd let that go when he started sweeping, and when you finished, all I could see were the shoulders up and down, so obviously sweeping hard. What's it like sweeping at altitude?
Oh, it's hard after Christmas time and all. A lot of unhealthy food and going straight to this, kind of been in a bubble, the Christmas bubble, so it's very nice to come back on the ice and get some exercise, I guess you can say it that way. So yeah, it's a struggle. Yeah, it is.
Well, great, 5-0, and against a really strong field here at this event. You must be really pleased. You're going to be through to the championship round. Now you're in the money. What would you do with $10,000?
Oh, we have a long way to go for the $10,000 yet. But of course we'll try and just have fun and a lot of good games, very good competition, and yeah, it's just great to be here.
Wonderful. So you playing in a lot of events throughout the year? Have you played in some? Do you have some plan to still play in?
Yeah, well, so our season so far has been like the World Cup before Christmas was maybe the main event before Christmas. We won that one, so that was good. And I'm switching forward from Team Wallstad on the men's side and mixed doubles with Kristen, and our main goal is to get to the Worlds in Norway actually in April. So we're stepping it up a bit now, playing this one in Saskatoon and Norwegian Championship, and yeah, looking forward to the rest of the season.
So will you be over in Canada for a little while then, or will you go back and forth?
Back and forth, so a lot of miles on our account now.
So you have a lot of air miles, you know. You must be able to stay in great places in the airport when you go, and
yeah, we can't complain.
Nice. So do you find the travel effects, or is there enough time in between that it's easy to move back and forth, or does it take a bit of a toll?
Like now it's an 8-hour time difference back home in Norway, so we were a bit jet lagged in the beginning, but now we're starting to adjust, so it's been good.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And it's cool that it's played in 2 ice rinks, this tournament. That keeps, you need to be on the top of your head kind of, because you have to adjust a lot of it. It's different ice conditions, so it's hard to go back and forth from different rinks. So that, yeah, you need to be focused.
And I imagine you have to track a whole bunch of extra set of rocks. You're not just looking at the 4 sets here, you need 4 other sets over there. Have you found them those fairly similar in terms of, it seems to be great curl, anywhere from 14 to 15 centimeters, fairly close. Bit of a difference, I think it was a bit slower in Banff, but certainly about 6 feet of curl.
Yeah, a bit slower and a bit more curly up in Banff, but both we like swing ice. That's good for mixed doubles, so that's perfect.
And so a little bit of the difference is that up there it's a little bit more frosty as well, so it's harder to keep track on the good tracks. So you came back here to this draw this morning, or oh, it's noon. It feels like morning.
Well, 8 hours. It might be midnight. Who knows?
Yeah, it was a little bit faster.
Back in Norway.
Yeah, so here was a little bit faster, so we were struggling a bit in the beginning, I think, with that. Actually, during the whole game, we were a little bit heavy on everything, so it wasn't the best of games, but it was good enough. Yeah.
So do you have to have nerves of steel? I mean, one thing you see is you can't take out a rock until the 4th thrown rock. 2 placed rocks right on that center line. Lots of rocks coming around. I mean, in that end, I think it was this 3rd, 5th end, you were facing 4, some staggers. I mean, it's got to be a lot of pressure shots. I mean, you're not just standing up there and you can peel away and keep it open. You're facing a lot when you get to throw, but you seem to have nerves of steel, Kristen. I mean, you made some tremendous last shots, and as I've been saying, it's not just your shot. It is a team shot because we do have to sweep, but, I mean, do you feel the pressure? I don't see it in you when I'm watching you out there.
No, actually, I'm just so focused, just determined that, okay, this is the task, this is what I'm going to do, and just try to shut everything else out, and it feels good. And I have a lot of faith in Magnus on his sweeping. I know he will sweep my rocks very well, so that's that's good too, to know that you have a very good sweeper. So
Two things she's really good at: it's focus and it's yelling on me. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. That's great.
discussions out there, but good discussions.
Yeah, sure.
Now, one thing I've asked, I mean, I've curled obviously, and I like to look at a broom. It gives me a target. But in mixed doubles, a lot of the times, the other person's down helping you sweep. So you've got to focus on a spot. So how do you do that? Like, what do? Do you look on the ice? Do you look off the ice? How do you get yourself focused on something that isn't there when you've got to throw these delicate shots? So you can't be far off the broom.
I'm always on the broom. No, I'm just in my head. Yeah, I just pick a spot. That's my aiming point, and then off I go.
Yeah. I mean, you have the edges of each circle, like 4, 8, and 12, and just try to be 10 centimeters of the right of the edge of 8, and it feels natural after a while. Yeah, it does. I don't know what else to say about that. Really, yes.
One thing that's important too is, I mean, there's two people on a team, and you've got to have great chemistry. If you've got 4 out there, you can have a little bit of offness. But when there's only 2, I mean, do you share the same philosophy and approach to the game? Do you find yourself sometimes one want to be more aggressive and less, and you get into those discussions? And do you have a system for managing through that, or how do you deal with that? Because that's certainly so critical in this game.
I feel that we have the same kind of strategy, but tactically we are a bit different sometimes, like how to perform the shots that we are agreeing on doing. So that is often taking a while, like how hard are you going to do that toss and stuff like that. But strategically we are kind of similar. I think after playing a couple hundred games together in mixed doubles, we are thinking the same way about which shot is the best shot, I think. Yeah. But I'm like to shoot hard, and Christian is more like maybe play a little bit softer Magnus sometimes, and yeah, that's perfectly fine. I'm usually maybe playing a little bit too hard. So
from what I saw out there, I don't think it matters what shot you were throwing. You both threw it really wonderful out there, and you know what? Great composure, great focus, and I can tell you from watching your slides, dead straight, nice positive releases, and on swinging ice like this, you need that positive release. A couple of teams we've seen some soft releases, and that rock will just take off, so you really got to get that, and you're doing a great job controlling it. Obviously 5-0 going through the round robin, get a bit of a chance to rest. You'll be, well, we'll wait to see. 5-0 might get you right through to the semis, the top 8. Only 4 teams get that. We have 6 pools, so we'll have to wait and see, but certainly a great start to this.
Absolutely.
Well, if you want, hopefully some people back home, this will be on the YouTube so they can watch it later and see what you did and cheer that victory. Maybe some of them stayed up late to watch it, but best of luck in the rest of this event. Hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to you later, but I do appreciate you taking a few minutes to talk to our listeners and let them know your thoughts on the game and how you played today. So thank you very much and best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was Team Norway we were talking to, Skaslien and Nedregotten. They won over Walker in Walker, stealing in the last stand 1 point to win their pool outright. A perfect 5-0 record that will carry them the championship round. 2 from each pool go through. 4 go right through to the semifinals. Obviously with a perfect 5-0 record, it puts them in great shape to possibly claim one of those 4 spots, but we won't know until the end, because with 6 pools, there are 6 chances for that to happen. Nice to talk to them, get a bit of a view of curling with the Norwegian team and how they're feeling and working together. We're now going to take a short break, and we'll be back with you at 2 o'clock. We'll be bringing you the next game. We are staying here in camera. We're here in camera. There will be no delay. We'll be back to do that game with you. And who do we have in that game? Well, we'll find out and let you know. It's been posted, though. You'll be able to see online what that game is. And we look forward to bringing it to you within the half hour. Enjoy a little break. Go grab a coffee, maybe a tea or an apple juice, or if you want, just a water. And get ready to join us later on this afternoon at 2 o'clock for the next draw here in Canmore, Alberta.